The bone-chilling winter of January 1945 had turned the forests of Holtzwihr, France, into a frozen, blood-stained graveyard. The freezing wind howled through the trees as a devastated, exhausted line of American soldiers realized they were completely cut off. Their ammunition was running dangerously low, their bodies were numb from the extreme sub-zero temperatures, and the terrifying shadow of an inevitable defeat hung heavily over the entire battlefield. Emerging from the dense, smoky tree line was the unstoppable iron fist of the German war machine. 6 massive, heavily armored Panzer tanks cracked the thick ice under their tracks, accompanied by an overwhelming force of over 250 elite, battle-hardened Nazi infantrymen. The German officers smiled with absolute confidence, knowing they were about to completely obliterate the final pocket of American resistance. But as the Nazi forces advanced to secure their easy victory, the entire course of the war was suddenly halted by a single, highly improbable obstacle. Standing entirely alone in the freezing mud against the crushing wave of the Third Reich was a scrawny, 19-year-old kid from Texas. He stood barely 5'5", weighed a mere 112 pounds, and possessed the innocent, fragile face of a young schoolboy. His name was Audie Murphy. To the arrogant German soldiers marching through the rising smoke, this small, isolated American teenager looked like a helpless child waiting to be crushed. They had absolutely no idea that hidden beneath that deceptive, youthful face was the cold, calculating mind of a lethal predator, possessed by an unbreakable spirit that no army on earth could ever hope to conquer. With the enemy closing in from all sides, this forgotten teenager made a madness-driven choice. Instead of running for his life, he ordered his remaining men to retreat into the deep safety of the woods. He stayed behind completely alone in the open field, clutching a freezing radio to call down artillery strikes directly onto his own perilous position, refusing to give up an inch of ground to Hitler's finest troops. Then, doing the absolute unthinkable, Murphy climbed aboard a shattered American tank destroyer that was actively engulfed in raging flames and packed with unstable explosives. He grabbed the massive, heavy .50 caliber machine gun mounted on the burning hull. Surrounded by choking black smoke and completely exposed to a hail of enemy bullets, the boy-faced warrior prepared to unleash an unholy inferno. Long before he ever faced the terrifying might of the German army, Audie Murphy's life was already a desperate, brutal battle for survival. Born into the dirt-poor fields of Kingston, Texas, he was one of 12 children raised by impoverished sharecroppers. The family lived in a crumbling shack, constantly on the razor's edge of starvation, enduring a level of soul-crushing poverty that most modern people could never even begin to comprehend. The situation grew exponentially worse when his father completely abandoned the family, leaving Audie's mother alone to care for a house full of starving, crying children. To prevent his brothers and sisters from dying of hunger, a young Audie was forced to drop out of school in the 5th grade. He spent his days working grueling hours picking cotton under the blazing sun, earning mere pennies that were never enough to buy proper food. It was during these dark, desperate years that Audie retreated into the Texas wilderness with a cheap hunting rifle, driven by pure necessity. The stakes were impossibly high because his family could only afford a single bullet for each hunting trip. If he missed his target, his siblings would go to sleep with completely empty stomachs. This unforgiving pressure forced the young boy to develop the laser-focused eyesight of a ghost. He learned to control his breathing, track movements in the shadows, and hit targets with flawless, surgical precision. He never wasted ammunition, becoming a master marksman long before he ever wore a military uniform. The cruel Texas wilderness was his first training ground, turning a tiny, underfed boy into a silent, patient predator who could strike a target from incredible distances without ever giving away his position. Then, a devastating tragedy struck that shattered his world completely. His beloved mother passed away, leaving him broken-hearted and alone. This profound loss lit a dark, unyielding fire deep inside his soul. He looked at the bleak Texas dirt and swore an absolute oath that he would find a way out of this miserable life, unaware that his grim survival skills were about to face the ultimate test on the bloody battlefields of Europe. When the devastating news of the attack on Pearl Harbor shook the entire nation in December 1941, patriotic fervor swept across America. Like millions of other young men, Audie Murphy rushed straight to the nearest military recruitment offices, desperate to defend his country. However, the harsh reality of his physical appearance struck a devastating blow to his burning ambitions. He walked into the United States Marine Corps Recruitment Center, but the tough officers there took one look at his tiny frame and openly laughed in his face. Standing at a mere 5'5" and weighing just over 100 pounds, he looked like a frail child rather than a warrior. The recruiters told him he was far too small, far too weak, and completely unfit for the brutal nature of combat. Refusing to surrender, Audie then approached the United States Navy and the elite paratroopers, but both branches brutally slammed their doors in his face with the exact same mockery. They told him that sending a skinny, baby-faced boy like him to the front lines of a global war would be nothing short of a death sentence. To them, he was completely useless, nothing more than a liability. Determined to fight, Audie resorted to desperate measures and successfully falsified his birth documents to appear a year older than he actually was. He finally managed to convince a reluctant army recruiter to accept his enlistment. Yet, even during the grueling days of basic infantry training, his own commanders viewed him with deep pity, fully expecting the weak teenager to break under the intense pressure. During training, the intense physical exertion combined with his fragile health caused Audie to pass out cold on the dirt field. Disgusted and worried, his superior officers immediately tried to transfer him out of the infantry, offering him a safe, comfortable desk job or a position as a cook in the mess hall. They believed they were saving his life, completely unaware of the unstoppable monster they were holding back. But Audie fiercely refused every single offer to step away from the danger. He looked his commanders dead in the eyes and adamantly demanded to be sent into the heat of the action on the front lines. He did not join the military to hide in safety. He wanted to face the enemy directly. His stubbornness paid off, and the army finally relented, shipping the underestimated boy off to the meat grinder of the European theater. In 1943, the young Texan was shipped directly into the brutal meat grinder of the Italian campaign. Audie Murphy stepped onto the blood-soaked shores of Sicily and Anzio, where the combat was savage and unrelenting. The veteran German forces held the high ground, unleashing a continuous hail of heavy artillery and machine gun fire, turning the beautiful Italian landscape into a hellish wasteland of mud, fire, and death. Almost immediately, the grueling conditions took a heavy toll on Audie's fragile body. He contracted a severe case of malaria, suffering from agonizing bone chills and burning, delirious fevers that left him physically depleted. Yet, while other men would have gladly accepted a medical evacuation to a safe hospital, Audie fiercely refused to leave the front lines, dragging his shivering body through the deep, frozen trenches. It was in the shadow of these mountains that the boy-faced soldier transformed into a terrifying force of nature. The ruthless survival skills he developed in the Texas dirt finally manifested on the battlefield. With his legendary, flawless marksmanship, Audie began to systematically hunt down enemy positions. He possessed an uncanny ability to spot hidden Nazi snipers and neutralize them before they could even pull the trigger. During one chaotic ambush, a group of elite German scouts tried to overrun his squad. Instead of taking cover, Audie completely outmaneuvered the enemy. Moving like a silent ghost through the thick smoke, he used his rifle with lethal, terrifying speed. In a matter of minutes, he single-handedly wiped out the entire German vanguard. The surviving enemy soldiers retreated in utter panic, realizing they were facing a deadly predator. His own battle-hardened comrades watched in absolute shock as this tiny, underfed teenager routinely risked his life to save them. He was promoted rapidly, rising through the ranks because his lethal efficiency was undeniable. Captured German officers, when confronted with the person who had completely devastated their lines, refused to believe that this polite, child-faced boy was the ruthless phantom that had slaughtered their men. By the time the Italian campaign drew to a close, Audie Murphy was no longer the weak boy mocked by recruitment officers. He had become a legendary, hardened killer, a dark omen for the Axis forces. The German command began to realize that the Americans possessed a secret weapon they could neither anticipate nor stop. But the ultimate test of his terrifying courage was still waiting for him in the frozen forests of France. On January 26, 1945, in the freezing forest near Holtzwihr, France, the ultimate test of Audie Murphy's life arrived. A massive force of 250 German infantrymen and 6 terrifying Panzer tanks launched a brutal assault on his position. Realizing his men were vastly outnumbered and faced certain death, Audie made a crazy decision. He ordered his remaining soldiers to fall back into the woods while he chose to stand completely alone. Clutching a field radio in the mud, Audie began calling down heavy American artillery strikes. The German forces advanced, their bullets buzzing through the air around him. Desperate to stop the iron wave, Audie calmly spoke into the radio, directing massive explosive shells closer and closer to his own position. When the operator asked how close the enemy was, Audie famously replied, "Just hold on, and I will let you talk to them." Then, doing the absolute unthinkable, Audie sprinted through a hail of gunfire toward a crippled M10 tank destroyer. The massive American vehicle was engulfed in raging flames, loaded with highly unstable ammunition, and threatened to explode at any second. Ignoring the extreme danger, the 19-year-old climbed aboard the burning steel hull, exposed himself to the entire German army, and grabbed the heavy .50 caliber machine gun. What followed was an absolute slaughter that left the battle-hardened Nazi forces in complete shock. Surrounded by thick, choking smoke, Audie unleashed a relentless torrent of heavy machine gun fire into the advancing German ranks. He fired burst after burst, cutting down wave after wave of elite infantrymen. The enemy frantically returned fire, but the lone, baby-faced teenager seemed entirely untouchable amidst the terrifying chaos. A piece of shrapnel ripped deep into Audie's leg, causing agonizing pain and covering him in blood, but he fiercely refused to stop shooting. For an entire hour, a single American boy held off a full company of Hitler's finest soldiers. The German tanks, stripped of their infantry support by Audie's lethal precision, grew terrified of being ambushed by artillery and were forced to break formation and retreat in absolute panic. When his machine gun finally ran out of ammunition, Audie casually dropped the empty weapon, climbed down from the burning tank destroyer, and limped back to his men. He had single-handedly killed or wounded over 50 enemy soldiers and saved his entire company from total annihilation. This unimaginable display of raw, pure courage would forever cement the scrawny Texas kid as the ultimate nightmare of the Third Reich. When the smoke of World War II finally cleared, America welcomed home its greatest champion. Audie Murphy returned from the battlefields as the most decorated soldier in United States history, receiving the Medal of Honor and over 30 other prestigious medals. His incredible story of survival and unparalleled bravery instantly captured the heart of the entire nation, transforming the scrawny Texas kid into a legendary public icon. This immense fame soon caught the attention of the golden era of Hollywood. In a historical move that completely stunned audiences worldwide, Audie did something entirely unprecedented. He was invited to star as himself in a massive 1955 cinematic hit movie To Hell and Back. Seeing this polite, baby-faced warrior recreate his own terrifying real-life battles on the silver screen brought a massive wave of retro nostalgia. But behind the bright lights of movie sets and the glitz of stardom, a painful battle was raging inside his soul. The horrors of war had left deep, invisible scars that no amount of success could heal. Audie suffered from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, constantly plagued by terrifying nightmares. His trauma was so profound that he could never sleep without a loaded, heavy pistol hidden directly underneath his pillow. Yet, even in his darkest personal moments, the boy-faced warrior refused to surrender to despair. He chose to use his massive global platform to speak openly about the psychological damage suffered by returning soldiers. By breaking the rigid military taboos surrounding mental health, he became a true hero for a second time, fighting passionately to ensure that his forgotten brothers-in-arms received the medical help they deserved. As we look back at the unbelievable courage and the staggering sacrifices of Audie Murphy, a deeply haunting question remains for our modern world. In an era dominated by automated drone warfare, hyper-advanced technology, and highly fractured societies, do we as a civilization still possess the hidden capacity to produce real heroes of this absolute, legendary caliber? Could a scrawny, underfed 19-year-old kid today look directly into the eyes of absolute evil, stand completely alone on a raging, burning tank destroyer, and single-handedly change the course of history? Or has that unique breed of true, self-sacrificing tactical warriors vanished entirely from the face of the earth, leaving behind only echoes? We desperately want to hear your personal thoughts on this forgotten hero in the comments section below. Do you honestly believe that true heroes like Audie Murphy could still exist somewhere in today's world? Or is that legendary, raw bravery gone forever? Drop your comments and let us know your theories down below. If this dark journey through military history made you question the strength of the human spirit, make sure to hit the like button to support us. To uncover more classified secrets, forgotten files, and deep historical mysteries, subscribe to our channel right now. Stay highly vigilant, trust absolutely nothing, and we will see you in our next investigation.